everyone, welcome, welcome. My name's Kris and I'm your Cardvoyant. And here at Cardvoyant, we're all about using cards to tap into our clairvoyant nature. So toward that end, today we have a special guest. We have someone who's just learning tarot, and I'm hoping that having her here will help you to learn tarot as well. Right now, I will have Pam come in. And Pam is my sister, so she actually knows a lot about tarot, but she hasn't really had, I don't think, a desire to learn it herself until recently, or to use it herself. So it is something that you can pick up, and it can be intimidating because there's all these cards that you feel like you have to learn, but you don't have to learn everything to be able to start. You can start with very, very basic knowledge. So that's what we're going to do now. I mean, the very basics. First of all, what I want to say is that most people use cards that are based on the Rider-Waite cards, the Rider-Waite Smith cards. And they're very iconic, and a lot of other cards that you might use are actually based on Rider-Waite. So it's a really good deck to start with. And from there, you can probably pick up most any tarot deck and understand what's going on and use it for your own readings. So let's talk about just picking a set of cards. But I wanted to let you know that the most important thing in picking a deck of cards is just picking something that speaks to you. My suggestion is that you just look online or actually go into a store. Barnes & Noble has tons of tarot cards, actually. Most bookstores do. So you can go into your local bookstore, if you're lucky enough to have one around you, and just look and get a feel for them. Pick up the package. Usually they'll have some of the images. This is Mother Peace Tarot. It's a round deck. But they'll usually have images actually on the box so that you can get an idea of what's actually inside. And then just pick that deck. If you can't decide, or if you just want to be sure that you're getting the basics, I would definitely go with a Rider-Waite deck. So what I have done is I have a Rider-Waite deck. Surprise! And this, I'm going to give this to you. They haven't been opened.
Okay.
A lot of people, me included, don't like other people touching their decks. It's it's something about the energy, and they become very personal. I haven't opened the deck because I wanted Pam's energy to just be on them. I'm not one of these people that thinks that the cards themselves have like power. You bring the power to them, and your guides and spirits that are helping you with this, they bring the power to them. Like, they work through the cards. The cards are like a channeling device. And some people are, they're just lucky enough to be able to do that. They just have that ability to just like do it without a tool. But I am not one of those people. I definitely need a tool. And I think that's why I was drawn to tarot, and that's why I eventually was just able to connect, I think, to the cards. So if you're interested, and if you're watching this, that's probably you too. Okay, so while Pam is sort of shuffling the cards, getting to know her cards, getting the feel of her cards, I wanted to talk very briefly about the cards themselves. There are 78 cards in a Rider-Waite deck and in most standard tarot decks. There are 22 major arcana, and then there are suits. The rest are minor arcana, and there's 4 suits of minor arcana cards. So the major arcana cards are similar to, these are major arcana cards. And like as I said, there's 22. And these cards are cards that reflect the bigger picture. They're sort of the sometimes long-term effect. They're the overarching cards, and these often have to do with big picture things in your life. Sometimes they can span many years. Sometimes they can just speak about your life or your question overall. They start at 0 and they go to 21. The 0 card is the Fool card, and it sort of starts the tarot story. So there's Cups, Swords, Wands, and Pentacles. Cups cards are all about emotion. They're, the feeling cards. Think of cups running over. My cup runneth over with love. That's an easy way to remember what cups cards are all about. The sword cards are all about intellect and thinking and action. And I always think of swords as like cutting through the air. Swords cards are double-edged cards, and you can think of a double-edged sword. So you have this idea of intellect and intellectual power and thinking and ideas, but you also have this idea of sort of going overboard. So they can be about, sometimes about anger, and sometimes about sort of negative behavior and things like that. Pentacles cards are all about things. They actually look like coins, like money. So they're about money, they're about property, they're about all these physical things in the world. So Wands cards are all about passion. In a way, they're a complement to or another side of sword cards. They're often they can be about your work, they can be about projects, they're about new things starting, the action as it relates to your passion. Now, for the four suits, the Pentacles cards relate to earth. The Cups cards relate to water, this flowing water. Swords cards are air, and Wands cards are fire. So you have the 4 elements reflected in the cards as well. So most cards come with a little booklet of some kinds, and especially when you have, these very artistic decks that have been done, they'll come with a bigger book. But this is just your very basic Rider-Waite booklet that comes with the cards. What comes into play with these cards is knowing the basic meanings and then your own intuition. So how you read cards is going to end up being very specific to you. The way that Pam is going to eventually read cards may be very different from the way that I read them. And we'll talk about the different ways that you can read them. But for now, what I just want to emphasize and to show you is that you can you can go ahead and start. You don't have to learn the meanings of all 78 cards and have them, memorized to be able to start reading. So what I've asked Pam to do is to think of a question. And I want it to be, very basic and very something that we can answer kind of quickly, hopefully. And you can choose how many cards. I'll let you choose if you want to do like 1, 2, or 3. I wouldn't go more than 3 because, we don't want everyone to get bored.
Yeah. You can get kind of detailed if you get too many.
Yes, and with 1, 2, or 3, it's not like a detailed spread that you might use. And we'll talk about spreads in upcoming videos. But what I want her to show you is just that you can like get your deck, you get to know it, you know these basics, and then you can just try it. And eventually they do become memorized, and you won't need your book. But it's fine to use your book. So I'm going to let Pam use her book. And do you have a question that you've thought of?
Why don't we just do something like, what's the energy for this weekend?
So we're going to our nephew's first birthday party, and it's a couple hours away. It should be, a lot of families, should be fun, but maybe not.
We'll see.
We'll see. The cards will tell us how fun. No, but also, tarot cards are not like prediction cards. They can show you probabilities, but to say they're fortune telling is, just not accurate at all, I don't think. So when asking a question, what I tend to ask is, just as Pam said, what's the energy behind this? What I do, and what I will encourage Pam to do, and all of you to do, is as you're shuffling the cards, and shuffle any way that you want. If you are, if you play cards and you have a way that you shuffle, that's fine. Shuffle any way you want. As you're shuffling the cards, this is when I take the time to connect with the non-physical world. That's what I feel like I'm doing when I'm shuffling. I'll often close my eyes when I shuffle. And for me, I shuffle for a really long time, but that's because I'm doing this in my head. When we do some readings that I'll actually do on this channel, I'll edit out the shuffling because nobody wants to sit and watch you. My clients have to, they're forced to sit and watch me shuffle for like a full minute or something. But what I'm doing is asking the question in my head, asking for help from my guides, and then asking what I need to know or what my client needs to know, what it would be good to know, and what would help to know. But basically what you want to do is ask your question and connect with your guides, however you can do that. Like I said, I close my eyes a lot of times, but you don't have to. You can just be having this conversation in your head. That's what you're doing. So Pam's going to ask about the energy behind this weekend. Anything that we should know, anything that she should know, I'm going to let her go ahead and do that. Okay, so Pam has put down 3 cards, and what we have is the 4 of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, and the 6 of Wands. So I'm going to let Pam just pick up the book and really quickly read what each card is. And in this little booklet, you can see it's just a booklet and there's a lot of cards. So they're very short. But after she reads each one, then I'm going to let her go ahead and talk about her feeling for each of the cards and what she thinks they're about in relation to this weekend and the energy behind this weekend. So, 4 of Pentacles.
A crowned figure having a pentacle over his crown clasps another with his hands and arms. 2 pentacles are under his feet. Divinatory meetings, the surety of possessions, cleaving to that which one has, gifts, legacy, inheritance. And then it talks about reversed, but we'll go into that. I won't go into that.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because I meant to say it. We are just reading right now upright cards. We're not reading reverse cards, and we're purposely shuffling and leaving cards so that we don't get reverse cards. We'll talk about reverse cards way in the future. For now, we're just doing upright cards. So we know the Pentacles cards are about sort of earthly things and possessions and so forth. So do you have a feeling about what this means in relation to this weekend?
Well, I feel like it represents the birthday party because it says something about gifts in the book, and it is a birthday party for a boy, and there's a boy on this card, and I feel like maybe that's supposed to be our little Camden, and then his gifts and the party, and it also says something about legacy. And I feel like there's a lot of family there. This particular family has 2 little boys, but I feel like he's part of the legacy of their family, and just that kind of represents those things.
Awesome.
What do you think?
So no, I think you're spot on, but the most important thing is how you feel. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like it's a positive feeling? Okay.
I do. I feel like there's like a lot of love here, and just people coming together to just kind of not pay tribute to a little boy like he's a king or anything, but just to show that they care and they want to be there for him and his family.
Okay. I love that interpretation. Okay. I think you're spot on. Of course, I mean, this is her interpretation, so it's going to be, spot on for you, but it's nice to see all the things that you're getting out of the card.
Okay.
So, and you'll do that as you go on, little things will be big in different readings. For instance, you mentioned that the figure in the card is a boy or a male figure, and so that is something that is peculiar or particular to this reading, because we are talking about a birthday party for a little boy. So let's talk about the next card, the Queen of Swords.
Queen of Swords, and let me see. Oh, here we are. Her right hand raises the weapon vertically, and the hilt rests on the arm of her royal chair. The left hand is extended, the arm raised. Her countenance is severe, chastened, and suggests familiarity with sorrow. Meanings: widowhood, female sadness and embarrassment, absence, sterility, mourning, privation, and separation. So that sounds like a very...
Is that all?
Well, it says that's then it goes into the reversed meanings.
Okay. So all that having been
That
said,
sounds horrible.
I want to say that not everything that she mentioned applies, right? So it might be one word, it might be none of it. It's good knowing that it's this queenly figure who can be rather severe and so forth. So that's something to note. And then the other things may apply or may not. And actually, just knowing that background, none of it may apply. That's just like a general feeling. So the other feelings that you get out of it may apply in that particular situation. So do you have any feeling about this card and what
The only
it means?
thing I have a feeling about is I feel like this might be the mom of the little boy. I don't know if I should say her name. Not that anybody's going to know, but
Yeah.
Natalie. Not that she's severe or horrible, but she is the mother. And I know this weekend means a lot to her. And so I feel like she actually might be a little bit stressed. I know she will be.
Yes.
I mean, just knowing her. So that's probably not even come from the cards. That may just come from knowing her. And I feel like this is her with, just this importance of this day for her. And I just even feel like the imagery, I hope she has fun this weekend, but I'm wondering. But also there's like a little cherub kind of figure on the chair that makes me think of the baby. And that it's her, this is her domain, and this is going to be her thing, and she needs maybe some help from us to make it a more fun experience for her.
I think that's awesome. That's a great interpretation. And actually, I'm not doing this reading, so not invested in it. I haven't put a lot of thought into it. As you were shuffling and stuff, I was just, doing other things. So it's really interesting to hear that intuition that you're having regarding this card, because it's not really something that I would have thought of.
Oh, really?
Some parts of it, with the cherub and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. Okay. I will mention that that we haven't talked about, and you may not think about, the positioning of the cards. Oh, this is the center, the sword card. And so you can imagine how the mother's energy will sort of dominate, be central to everything. So like you said, if we can ease any tension that she might be feeling, it's going to permeate these other two cards. So let's get to the Six of Wands, because this is an awesome card.
Okay, let me find it. This book is little and it's hard to...
It is. It has little writing.
I know, so hence my old lady glasses. Okay, here we go. Wands. He is, I should say, Six of Wands. Oh, they go backwards. Okay. Laureled horseman bears staff adorned with laurel crown. Footmen with staves are at his side. Okay. Meanings. The card has been so designed that it can cover several significations. On the surface, it is a victor triumphing, but it is also great news, such as might be carried in state by the king's courier. It is expectation crowned with its own desire, the crown of hope. Okay.
So what do you, hearing that, what is your interpretation of this Six of Wands? And as we said, Wands cards are about, passion and feeling and movement, things happening. So what are you thinking about this?
So the thing that grabbed me in the meaning is the last part, the crown of hope. And I thought, it's this family with this little hope for this little boy. Mm-hmm. And probably for their other little boy too, but just that feeling of celebration and coming together. They said it's kind of a victory card, and just maybe, I guess just the hopes for this little boy.
Right. And you mentioned victory, and this is a child who was, they had a hard time, conceiving and carrying and everything. So yeah, that's very...
And a few little health issues that have been fine. They're not anything, little things they've had to check out. And I think maybe it's just this kind of, maybe like almost like a not a rite of passage, but the first year mark is like, okay,
yeah,
this guy he's healthy, and he's a happy little boy and everything. So that's kind of,
I think that's perfect and spot on. And I want to say that when she was reading the interpretation of the book, you said the one thing that stood out, that's your intuition kicking in. It's saying, it's helping you to zone in on this one little word that you hear, and that will happen when you're starting to read, and you're often referring back to a book. That's your intuition, and that's why cards are so awesome, and that's why we say Cardvoyant, because it helps with that. It helps you connect with that clairvoyance that you all have. I guarantee you all have it. So what is your overall feeling about this 3-card reading? I'm talking about, like, does it feel stressed? Sometimes there's like an angry or a sad feeling, or happy feeling. What are some of the words you would use to describe the 3 cards taken all together?
I feel like it's happy and that it's celebratory.
Right.
And I know we are talking about a birthday party, so maybe that's obvious. But I feel, other than like a little bit of stress here with the anxiety about, overall, I think it's going to be, it feels very positive. And
the thing about tarot readings is you want them to help. That's why you do them. You want some information that's going to help you or your client, or some insight. And so that this reading is actually, like you said, it's overall happy and joyous and stuff, but it's given you a little insight into this central figure, the mom, and sort of the stress that she's feeling, because I'm sure she's not going to show it. She's going to try not to show it. But just knowing that will allow us to maybe offer some help, or to reassure her that things are going well, or to kind of keep an eye on her stress level and help if we can. And so that's how this reading, other than just feeling like, okay, it's going to be a good time, I don't think we doubted it would be a good time.
We kind of
like
going into it thinking that.
We're going, and we expect it to be happy, but it's nice to know that that it is just a happy experience, especially since we're traveling quite a ways to get there. So that's nice to know, but it also provides us with this insight so that we can make it a better experience, and maybe help somebody else, right, from our insight that otherwise we might not have thought about. So Pam, like I said, she spent 2 minutes with her cards. She shuffled for a bit. She connected. She knows some of the basics that we talked about that you all know now, so you know that as well. And you can see how just right off the bat, using this tool, tarot, you're able to start right away. So we'll go through and we'll learn the cards, and Pam will be back to
I know.
to help us.
Very exciting.
We're all excited about that. But she'll be here to learn along with you. But we just wanted to show, I wanted to show especially that you can start right away. But as you can see, just this tiny little booklet, really, that gives the briefest of explanations of the cards, actually works. But that's because it's working in concert with your own intuition. So there you have it for your first lesson in tarot. I hope that it was a good explanation for you and worthwhile, and we hope you'll come back and learn more about tarot from me, Kris, your Cardvoyant. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.